All right, I don't know if you know this, but Christmas is 9 days away. Some of you just got real excited. Others are a little nervous. If you forgot something, make sure you write that down. Nudge your neighbor next to you. Make sure you remember to buy that gift or whatever it is you have. I mean, we are so excited for Christmas. It's going to be next week. We got Christmas services starting soon. And so since it's the week before Christmas, I think I want to have some fun this week. Do you guys want to have fun? Okay, we'll have some fun. So what I'm going to ask you is we're going to ask about some of the things you're excited about. What are you excited for Christmas? How many of you are excited for the family dinner, right? You have the Christmas dinner. Whether you're the one making it or you're going to someone else's house, holla, to have that Christmas dinner. How many of you guys do turkey for Christmas? Christmas is Thanksgiving 2.0. You do turkey, okay? How many of you forget that? We're in the ham holidays now. Yeah, Christmas and Easter ham holidays. Okay, how many of you are into kind of the alternative main dish, not the traditional? So you got steak, you got lobster, some sort of, okay, a couple, yeah, that's right, good. And then where am I Chinese takeout for Christmas dinner? Because exactly, I'm not cooking, are you kidding me? We just obliterated some presents and cinnamon rolls in the morning. I don't need any of that mess in my life. How many of you are super excited about decorating every year? Decorating is the thing you live for. Yeah, it's like October 31st, November 1st, boom, here comes Christmas, right? Yeah, some of us get real pumped about picking out the tree. You load up the kids and in the family station wagon, drive out into the middle of nowhere. You get your boots on and go and cut down your own tree. Well, most of us go to the parking lot where they're all kind of set up outside of the house of meats or something, and you just find one that you like. Or how many of you, get the box up from the basement, open up the box. Hey, kids, we're going to do this little Lego project. And you fluff up all the little set. Yeah, that's Christmas tree thing has kind of lost it a little bit. You can do what we do at my house. I go downstairs, or sometimes my wife goes downstairs. We get the tree, which is already pre-assembled in the basement with a sheet over it, already decorated, and we drag it upstairs, and one of us catches all the ornaments as they fall off. You put it in the place, you plug it in. Okay, kids, gather around. Ta-da! It's Christmas. I mean, we really do that, so it's okay. You could start your own tradition. That's fine. Last year, we didn't put the tree up until Christmas Eve, so for those of you that still don't have your decorations out, it's okay. There's always someone that's later than you. That's fine. How many of you are pumped about Christmas movies? That's it. You're just, yeah. I think Christmas movies, think about it. Movies have their own, genres. There's drama, and then there's, romantic comedies, and there's action, and then there's, Christmas is a whole category. In fact, I think that genre is why the Hallmark Channel is still in business today. This will be fun. Let's think about what is the best Christmas movie. I'm going to count to 3, and at all of our campuses, wherever you're watching online, I just shout it out on 3. The best Christmas movie. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Die Hard. I think most of you were wrong, because Die Hard is obviously the best Christmas movie. I mean, some of you prefer the kids' version, right? Home Alone. Some of you just got your minds blown there. You realize that Home Alone was kids' Die Hard. Others of you are skeptical. It's okay. Let me read this description. You tell me which movie this is. A story about a hero trapped alone, outmatched and outnumbered, that has to find hidden reserves of strength and courage to save the day and reunite with his family. Home Alone is kids' Die Hard. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Just kidding. I get most excited around Christmas for Christmas services here at the church. We're actually talking with my wife, and I said, Christmas doesn't really start for me. I'm excited about it. We've got decorations and trees and all that, but it doesn't really start until the Christmas services start. For the last 10 to 15 years that I've been participating in this, it's that's what gets me pumped up. And this year, I'm actually part of the team, the creative team that puts together everything that you see on the stage for Christmas. And I can tell you, you're not going to want to miss this year. If you liked years past, this is going to be one of the best Christmases ever, so don't miss it. Then I asked my 6-year-old, my 6-year-old Oliver, we'll put a picture of him on the screen here. That's Oliver. I said, hey buddy, what are you most excited for this Christmas? And he said, I'm just excited that everyone's going to be together and we're all going to be happy. Oh, I know. I prayed to God, and I thank God for 2 things. I said, God, thank you so much that I'm doing something right as a parent, and thank you that I can take back some of those presents I bought him. Woo, because a Nintendo Switch ain't cheap, I can tell you that. Right? Don't tell him I got that for him, by the way. But anyway, and then right afterwards, I said, hey, do you know what Christmas is all about? Pastor's kid. And he goes, presents. So he actually attends. So back in, whoever his group leader is, and you know who you are, you got some work to do with that little guy. Now, I don't know what your Christmas morning looks like, but I've got two kids. I've got a 6-year-old and a 7-year-old. They're less than a year apart. Yes, I know how that happens. Don't ask me. But our Christmas morning is going to look something like this.
Santa Claus had come.
Wow, a drum! That's mine! Wow, look right here, that's mine! Well, what's in here? Oh, it's hard. Fire truck! Oh boy, that's mine! Hey!
Pretty much like that, except there's going to be a lot more fighting and a lot more crying. I can guarantee you that one. But I think at some point, like, you've probably had a vision of that in your head, whether you witness it with your kids or as a kid, where you come down Christmas morning and you see all of the presents under the tree, right? And at some point you're looking to say, which one's mine? This is mine, this is mine, this is mine. Shaking them, which one's mine, right? Mine, mine, mine. Because at some point in our lives on Christmas, we all want to be the center of attention. Because at some point, a gift is going to be in your lap, and you're going to be opening it up, and all eyes are going to be on you, and that gift is for you. It's mine. Growing up, I had 8 Christmases in a row where I was an only child. I mean, 8 Christmases in a row where it was all about me, where every single present under the tree was for me, because God knows I didn't get my parents anything except whatever $5 would buy me at the Santa's workshop, and we all know how good those gifts are. Then on my 9th Christmas, my parents adopted my 2-year-old sister. And I had to start deciding, like right there, I started realizing, like, do I have room for someone else's presents under the tree? All of a sudden, the gifts weren't all mine anymore. And it wasn't about me for the first time. Now, I don't know what that looks like for you. Maybe if you didn't have siblings or anything like, do you ever get into the Christmas economics where you start to think through, like, are they going to get me a gift? Do I have to get them a gift? You know, how many of us have what my mom called a backup gift? Right? I thought this was like only something she did, and I found out last night that people are like, oh yeah, backup gift, that's a thing. Like, it's the candle you didn't really want, something from like Bath and Body Works that's easy to put into a bag that, you know, someone shows up unexpected, and they're like, oh, let me get your gift, I'll be right back. You know, you scramble around, find the backup gift, put it in there, title, aha, you know, right? Start doing the math in your head of who's showing up, what gifts you need. But here's the thing, I think no matter where you go this Christmas, no matter who you spend it with, no matter where you see presents under the tree, there's always going to be gifts. And these gifts are either going to be gifts for me or gifts for others. Every single box, every single gift that you see is going to be a gift for me, or it's going to be a gift for others. And this is something that's been ingrained in us since our very, very first Christmas, and it impacts our lives today. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about the one thing that has the power to change your Christmas. And we're going to do it by exploring 2 characters from the Christmas story, not the movie, the actual Christmas story in the Bible. They lived about 2,000 years ago, and they both played an important role that still affects us today. So we're going to talk about Herod the Great and John the Baptist, and how they made room for others, or how the idea of making room for others impacted the legacy they led and the legacy that we have today. So the Christmas story is a biblical narrative told in 4 different accounts, the books of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And in your notes, you can see there's a couple scripture references there if you want to look them up on your own, but otherwise we're going to follow along on screen. So let's see, in Matthew 2, it says that Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea during the reign of King Herod. Now this is one of those scriptures that you could just like blow right past. Like, okay, got it. Yeah, Jesus was born, this is where. But I think it's important for us to ask, if this is where the Christmas story is set, if this is where Jesus came into the world, we should know a little bit about the setting. So it says, during the reign of King Herod. So who was King Herod? See, he was a minor player in the Bible. He only had a couple of verses that were devoted to him, but a major player in history. In fact, in the Bible, there's 3 different Herods mentioned. There's Herod Agrippa, which is in the book of Acts, which we're not talking about. Herod Antipas, which was the guy in Jesus' trial, which we're not talking about. This was King Herod the Great. And I think we had a picture of him right there. That's King Herod. And historians had a lot to say about him. He was the 1st century king in the Judean province. He was from a family of builders. He was kind of a schemer. He worked his way into into a governorship from relative obscurity. Then he married into the Jewish royal family in order to kind of claim some of that royal Jewish bloodline and claim to the throne. And if ever there was like a self-made man, this guy was it, right? The problem was, he wasn't really a king. I mean, he had the title of king, but he wasn't really a king because this was during the Roman Empire. So who ruled the Roman Empire? The emperor. And the emperor gave these different little provincial kingships, these different titles to people to kind of keep the peace. And so he was a figurehead. He was really kind of a puppet ruler set up by Rome. All Rome cared about was that he provided safe passage for their soldiers, that he collected taxes, and he kept the people quiet. But he was still labeled a king. Now, I don't think anybody in this room has the title of king, but I think we can all identify with something like that. Have you ever gotten like a new title at work, but none of the authority and definitely none of the pay? Yeah, has that ever happened? Has anybody ever said, you know what, it's your decision, but they don't ever give you the resources you need to actually play it out? Or somebody else makes the decision and then they blame you for it. How about this? How about you know that you're the parent, but every single waking hour you spend catering to the need of the little toddler terrorists in your house? Right. How many of us have said this? You know what? I'm the man of the house, but I'll do whatever you say, dear, right? You all know titles don't mean a lot. It caused a lot of frustration for Herod. So he was extremely paranoid. In all of his palaces, he built these mirrors everywhere so he could see behind him, because somebody stabbing you in the back wasn't just something they said around there. That actually happened in that time. He built strategic palaces all over. He had all of his potential detractors killed. He killed a couple of his sons. He killed one of his wives. He killed his brother-in-law and his father-in-law because he didn't have any room for anybody else that might be making claims for his power. He outlawed free speech. He started going around in the towns. He would dress up as a commoner and he would ask people what they thought of King Herod. Hey, what do you think about King Herod? It's like, what are you doing? That was like first century Facebook stalking, right? Like, I don't know, none of you do this in this room, but like, you know, have you ever gone and, stalked through somebody's Instagram feed, or like if they've blocked you, you actually like make another burner account that you could, or one for your dog, you know what I mean? So that way it's not, right? Or we ask other people, what did she say about me? What are they saying about me? What happened? Who did they talk about? They didn't talk about me, did they? You start getting this feeling like everybody's out to get you. You use these words like everybody or nobody or always or never. Oh, everybody feels that way about me, or nobody gives me the credit I deserve, or they always are trying to do that. We do these weird things when we think we're the source of our power. We get super paranoid. It's this us versus them mentality, and we try everything we can to keep the power that we've gained. In fact, the Perrysburg campus pastor, Josh Whitlow, by the way, he's one of the best follows on social media, so you go follow him. He was talking about this week. In fact, he's talking about how much we tend to like judge the motives of others. We assume that we know what they mean, right? Oh, what did that post mean? Oh, when she said that, what did she mean by that? We get super paranoid. But Herod wasn't all bad. I mean, he was a prolific builder. In fact, historians say that he transformed Israel in the first century. He built tons of things. He raised unbelievable amounts of money. He built epic structures and temples and synagogues and cities. Now, you can see this is one of them. In fact, this is a fortress he built on top of a mountain, and then he put his palaces down below so that all the attention would be on where he lived, and he could survey the surrounding area. One, to say, hey, who's in charge here? So everybody could see him, but also so he could see everyone else. Now, the key is when I only have room for me, I become the most important person in the room. When I've only made space for me in the room, now all of a sudden I'm the most important. I'm the focal point. And everything Herod made had his logo on it. Every single stone that he built on his temples and his cities, he had built and branded a certain way with his logo, so that way as people walked by, they would know that Herod built that. He put his name on everything. When I only have room for me, even things that are supposed to be for you are still really all about me. Have you ever said that to somebody where you say, you know what, I did this for you. You should be more grateful. Oh, yeah. That was really for them then, right? I mean, Herod built all these things. He built the temple. In fact, we'll show a photo of the temple here. This is the Temple Mount. This area here, it was the size of 25 football fields. It was the largest man-made structure in the world at the time as far as that area is concerned. He built this giant temple here so that way he could appeal to the Jewish people, but then he built an entire Roman-style city called Caesarea so he could appeal to the Romans because he was playing both sides. Because it wasn't about them, it was all about him. All of this was to make his name greater. Now, do you ever do that? Do you ever buy gifts for other people because it's really more about you? I mean, probably not, right? But you ever buy a gift because you want someone to like you more? You get someone something because you feel like that's going to make you look better? Maybe you buy a gift or you do something for someone else because it's not really about them, but you want them to think better of you. Or maybe it's to make up for the stuff and the time that you didn't spend with them, so you're trying to buy them off a little bit. You see, that's when our gifts for others really become gifts for us. It's about me. Now, if you look here at the Temple Mount, we'll show that again. Here's the key, is that Herod built this whole area, and that's the temple in the middle. And only the priests and there were certain people that could go into that area. And Herod, even though he was the king, wasn't allowed to go there. So what did he do? This little box up here. He built a fortress. And if you notice, the walls of the fortress are just a little taller than the walls of the temple. So essentially he's saying, okay, I may not be able to go there, but I just want you to know in this neighborhood, there's only room for two people. That's God and that's me. Because the things, even the great things that he built for others, were really about him. And let me ask this test. For all of you who are parents or any gift givers, would you be okay buying all of these gifts, wrapping all of these gifts, giving them away, and then not being there when they were opened? Could you do that on a Christmas morning? That's a good test for me. Now, am I saying that you shouldn't give something to someone else and enjoy the joy that they experience? No. But I think it's always good to test and to see, is this really a gift for others? Or is this really a gift for me? And I'm not talking about the gifts like I like to buy my 6-year-old and 7-year-old gifts because I like to play with them. Like, I admit that. But it's the motive behind it. Let's be honest. And here's the thing. When we only have room for us, we don't make room for anyone else. And where this becomes important is where this interacts with Jesus. So let's see where Herod interacted with Jesus. In Matthew, it says that about that time, some wise men from eastern lands arrived in Jerusalem. Remember, we three kings from Orient. That's that Christmas story, okay? Asking, where is this newborn king of the Jews? We saw his star as it rose, and we've come to worship him. Can you imagine that? These three wise men show up to King Herod, and they say, where's the newborn king of the Jews? And King Herod's like, excuse me? Do you see the crown? Do you see the robe? Did you hear when I came in the room? They're King Herod, like, I'm the king. There is no newborn king, it's me. And then he starts to think, oh no, there might be a newborn king. Is there somebody else coming out to get me? What's going to happen? What's going on? So he says, King Herod was deeply disturbed when he heard this. Then Herod called a private meeting with the wise men, and he learned from them the time when the star first appeared. Then he told them, go to Bethlehem and search carefully for the child, and when you find him, come back and tell me so I can worship him too. You believe him? No. Because I think we all know this is true, that when I only have room for me, I'll tell people whatever they want to hear so that I can get my way. Now the wise men knew this. They figured this out. And in fact, an angel came to tell Mary, Jesus, and Joseph, you guys got to get out of here. And so they fled to Egypt. And word got back to Herod that the wise men weren't coming back to see him, to tell him. So it says Herod was furious when he realized that the wise men had outwitted him. He sent soldiers to kill all the boys in and around Bethlehem who were under 2 years old based on the wise men's report of the star's first appearance. You see, when I only have room for me, I'm unable to see anyone else as equally worthy as me. I start to label other people. People become less than human. Their wants, their needs, their desires don't matter. All of a sudden it becomes a them. We label them based on their beliefs. We label them based on their race, their socioeconomic class, their political affiliation. So that way we can see them as less than human, and we end up doing devastating things. And you see that play out with King Herod. Because Herod is saying, my life is about me. I did this. My legacy is built in these buildings. Do you see my name all over these walls? I named this city after me. I named this town after me. And at some point, like I said, we all want to be the center of attention. We may not go to those extremes, but I think we can identify that we want Christmas to be about us. And some of us grow out of it, but some of us never do. And some of us make it so much about us by trying not to make it about us, right? Oh, no, you're probably thinking that right now. No, Christmas isn't about me. It's never about me, right? It's always about them. It's always about what I do for others. Not about me, not about me, not about me. I only have room to think about me and to think about my problems and what I'm going through. And no matter what you believe, when you try to be the hero of the Christmas story, you're not making any room for anybody else. And as we saw with Herod, you can't make room for the true hero of Christmas, which is Jesus. Now, if we contrast that with another character in the Bible, we talked about John the Baptist in history. Last week we talked about Zechariah. Ben talked about Zechariah and Elizabeth and how an angel told them that they were going to be pregnant even though they were way beyond childbearing years, right? Now, where did Zechariah, if you remember from last week, where did Zechariah find out that his wife was going to be pregnant? In the temple. In the temple that Herod built. In the temple that Herod built to go, this is about me. I am the king. I am in charge. I am the ruler. And God said, I don't think so. He said, I could do everything for my good. And so that thing that you thought was really about you, you just watch what sort of legacy I'm going to build through this. So, show of hands, who's ever heard of John the Baptist? You've heard the name John the Baptist. Yeah, you don't even have to be like a churchgoer or read the Bible to understand. Now, the thing is that John never built anything, right? He never ruled anything. He had a very different title from Herod. It was, imagine introducing themselves or like reading their business card. You had, I'm Herod the Great. That'd be great. I would love to have like that title, right? And then meanwhile, John the Baptist is like, I'm John the Sploosh, right? You know, it just doesn't have quite the same ring as each other. But Jesus called John the Baptist the greatest man to ever live. And if you read what he did, it's not hard to figure out why. And I think it's important for us to have this mindset today. Let's look. In John 1, 6-9, it said, God sent a man, John the Baptist, to tell about the light so that everyone might believe because of his testimony. John himself was not the light. He was simply a witness to tell about the light. The one who is true light, who gives light to everyone, was coming into the world. One of our favorite Christmas songs, Silent Night, right? Silent night, holy night, Son of God, love's pure light. Talking about it right here. Christmas story, Christmas story, Christmas story. So let's look at his first interaction with Jesus and compare that with Herod. Luke 1:42, Elizabeth gave a glad cry and exclaimed to Mary, God has blessed you above all women, and your child is blessed. Remember, Mary is pregnant with Jesus. Elizabeth is pregnant with John the Baptist. They're related. They meet up together. She says this, why am I so honored that the mother of my Lord should visit me? When I heard your greeting, the baby in my womb jumped for joy. I mean, this is like Buddy the Elf, right? He's like, Santa, I know him. Like, just knows his job right away. He's before he's even born, he's pulling on the umbilical cord, getting some room, starting to jump rope around, right? He's just going to town. He's like, this is what I'm here for. This is the guy I'm looking out for right here. He recognized immediately. Now, that wasn't even like the most interesting thing about him. Like, he was a super interesting guy. In fact, let's look at this. In Matthew 3, it says, John's clothes were woven from coarse camel hair, and he wore a leather belt around his waist. For food, he ate locusts and wild honey. Now, this wasn't like a first century fashion statement, okay? It wasn't like he was getting dressed to attract other people to him. Because I don't know about you, like every one of us, when we get dressed in the morning, we're getting dressed for someone else. Like, take this outfit right here. There's a lot of this that I wouldn't choose out for myself. But I got in front of a little mirror and took a little photo, sent it to my wife. I was like, hey, does this look good? She said, turn around, let me see that view from the back. I was like, okay. Sent it to her, she's like, thumbs up, looks good, right? But John wasn't dressing for anybody. He's wearing camel hair. He's eating locusts. And yet he was the leader of an early megachurch. If we read Matthew 3, it says, people from Jerusalem and all over Judea and all of the Jordan Valley came to hear John. Now, by all accounts, this could have been tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of people coming from their cities, taking a 3-day journey in some cases to see John the Baptist. So, of course, when you got a big gathering going on, I mean, there's a concert and people, everybody's going out to see him. Now the religious leaders in the cities are going, what's going on here, right? So they send out some people. Religious leaders are demanding answers. TMZ was there with the cameras rolling. The Twitter sphere was getting ready to tweet. They're like, who is this guy? Who is this? Is he the Messiah? What's going on? So John comes right out and says it. He came right out and said, I am not the Messiah. Okay, you can quote me on that. I am not the Messiah. Well, then, they said, are you Elijah? And they said, no. Are you the prophet we were expecting? He says, no. I mean, they're like, are you famous? Like, tell us, what do we need to know here? How come you got all these people around you? What's going on? Then who are you? We need an answer for those who sent us. What do you have to say about yourself? They put the microphone up there, right? They're getting ready to take the quote. This is a moment that Herod the Great would have lived for, right? Imagine that. John the Baptist comes up to the mic. They're like, all right, I mean, you got a lot of people. Tell us, what do you have to say about yourself? Cameras are rolling, buddy. And he goes, I'm John the Baptist, all right? That's B-A-P-T. Write it down, B-A-P-T. Like, I've got a book table over there. I've got merch going on. Buy one of my camel hair shirts, right? Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Smash that like. Leave a comment in the comment section. No, he didn't do any of that. What did he say? John replied in the words of the prophet Isaiah. He didn't even come out and say it. Like, he didn't even say, like, no, guys, you don't understand. Like, let me just tell you. He quoted Isaiah, and he says, I am a voice shouting in the wilderness, clear the way for the Lord's coming. He says, I'm a sign on a fence, guys. I'm out here drawing a crowd so I can point them to him. I'm out here clearing the way for people to experience Jesus. I'm not drawing this crowd for me. They're not coming to see JTB. I'm going to point them to JC, right? Then the Pharisees who had been sent asked him, JTB, said, sorry, if you aren't the Messiah or Elijah or the prophet, what right do you have to baptize? You're not the king. You're not a priest. You're not famous. Who do you think you are? John told them, I baptize with water, but right here in the crowd, is someone you do not even recognize. Though his ministry follows mine, I'm not even worthy to be a slave and untie the straps of his sandals. John was like, oh, who do I think I am? That's right, you thought this was about me. No. This has nothing to do with me. I'm out here pointing you to someone who's greater than me, and my job is to make room for others to experience him. I've been given an opportunity, and the best way that I can use it is to benefit others. So later on in the story, Jesus comes to John to be baptized. Jesus is actually John's disciple for a little while. Whoa, like how crazy is that? But the problem is that even when I'm making room for others, guess what? I'm still in the room, right? And that can cause a little bit of a problem. So I remember back to my 9th Christmas, 9-year-old me. I was super pumped. That I had a new sister, right? It was like having a new puppy in the house. Like we were just kind of getting used to each other. It was great. It was all good. But the gifts under the tree were being less. There were less and less gifts for me and way more gifts for her. I still remember vividly sitting in front of my pile of modest gifts. Now, albeit, they were probably way more expensive than her gifts because she had all like dollar store stuff, 2-year-olds, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm done opening presents. And I'm looking around and it seems like she's just got an unending Mary Poppins bag full of presents that are still happening and she's opening. And all of a sudden, the focus shifted from my parents looking at me to now they're going this way and looking at her. And I think that John experienced something a little like this as well, because Jesus starts baptizing. Jesus goes out and does the thing that John was known for. And now his disciples are coming back to him. And it says in John 3:26, so John's disciples came to him and said, Rabbi, giving him this title, Rabbi. That man, notice the difference, Rabbi, that man over there, who you met on the other side of the Jordan River, that nobody, oh yeah, the one you identified as the Messiah, listen to what they're even saying, is also baptizing people, and everybody is going to them instead of coming to us, right? He's like, John, we gotta like get a cease and desist letter going on here. We gotta start diversifying what we're offering here. We gotta do like a dunk one, get one free going on here. You get a free camel hair t-shirt while you're, what are we going to do? You put baptism on the map. You're John the Baptist. John the Baptist. Now he's infringing on you, and he's Jesus I don't know that he even has a title. But John says this. Now compare this reaction to Herod's reaction. Herod was brought with the same question. Hey, where's this new king of the Jews? Where's this guy who's taken your title? What did Herod do? He didn't want to make any room for it. But John says this immediately. John replied, "No one can receive anything unless God gives it from heaven." Now, this is a key takeaway if you don't get anything else this weekend. It's understanding that my life, it might be a gift for me, but my life is ultimately a gift from God. And if you make this switch, if you understand that your life is a gift from God, that can change everything, because all of a sudden now I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid of followers that are following someone else. I'm not, because I didn't do it. He's saying, I didn't do this. I didn't gather these people. This is what God brought to me. He says this, "You yourselves, how plainly I told you, I am not the Messiah. I'm not the most important person here. I am only here to prepare the way for him. It is the bridegroom who marries the bride, and the bridegroom's friend is simply there and glad to stand with him and hear his vows. Therefore, I am filled with joy at his success. He must become greater and greater, and I must become less and less." Because although my life is a gift from God, right here, John is telling us something very important, that my legacy is built by how I make room for others. Your legacy is built by how you make room for others. So if you're a parent, if you're a primary caregiver, if you're a teacher, if you're in one of those areas of your life where you're saying, "But Eric, all I do is give my life away, and it's exhausting." I'll say, great. That is awesome, and God wants to honor that in you, because not only are you just keeping those little toddlers alive, you are building a legacy of faith in and through them. You might be at work and you're going, "Okay, well, I'm just a manager, I'm just a boss, I'm a company owner, and my job is to make more money to employ." No. You are building a legacy through what you are doing in your community. You might be showing up at work or showing up at school and saying, "Well, my job here is I just punch the time card, I do my job, and I go home," or "I'm just here to study and get my grades, go home." But that's not true, because what you are there for is to build a legacy by intentionally connecting with others and pointing to them the example of Jesus. You see, because Herod built monuments. He built these monuments, and if you go to Jerusalem and Israel right now, you'll see all of these ruins that were left over from Herod. But John made way for a movement that lives on in you and me today. I mean, because John made the way for Jesus, we're sitting here in this room right now. We are experiencing something that thousands and millions and billions of people all across the world have experienced. And I believe that we're going to be in heaven in part someday, because John understood that his purpose was to make room for other people to know God and to find freedom that it can only come in Jesus Christ, to realize the purpose they've been given, and to make a difference and continue that legacy from generation to generation, from person to person. And if you don't get that, here, just consider this. At the time that Jesus died, all the big names, Herod, Nero, Caesar. They built buildings and they put their name on it. They built cities and they put their name on it. In fact, they had a bunch of kids that they named after them. Like Herod had a bunch of boys he named Herod. He actually had a couple girls that he named some, semblance of Herod. He was just like George Foreman. But as far as we know, John had no buildings with his name on it, and he left no children to name after himself. But as the theologian and author John Ortberg says, names like Herod, Nero, and Caesar are used mostly for pizza parlors, casinos, and dogs today, while the names of Christ's followers, Peter, James, Paul, Mark, Matthew, Mary, and especially John, are the names that we give to our children as an example of the legacy that they left. So one question I want to ask you is, did God design your life to be a gift just for you, or are you meant to be a gift for others? Because our lives, my life, your life, is a gift from God. And realizing that can change the way that you interact with others, because then you know that the legacy that you will leave with your life, no matter what age you are, no matter what stage of life, no matter where you work, no matter where you live, your legacy is built in how you make room for others. And this Christmas is a great time to step into that. Because I want to ask you a question. Who are you making room for this Christmas? You've got some room in your notes for a next step. Maybe that's a good idea to write down a couple of names. Maybe that's a good idea to write down a couple of situations. What's the Christmas party you're going to? What's the holiday family gathering you're going to? What are you going to do at work tomorrow? to make room for other people to experience Jesus. And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that this season is one of the easiest seasons to invite people. So you got to ask yourself the question, who am I inviting? Because remember, it's not just about what you're building. It's not just about what you're doing at your 9 to 5. It's not just about your serving and how much money you give it away. It's who you are building a legacy in. Who are you making room for? Who are you extending an invite to? So I would say, take an invite card. I would say, text someone, send them a message on social media. Let them know. Point the way. Be a voice crying in the wilderness and point the way to something greater than yourselves this Christmas. Because not only is it going to change your life, but it might just change theirs. And as you make room for others, I believe that you will find that God is going to be using you in incredible ways this Christmas to make a difference. When you make room for others, you're making room for all that God wants to do in and through you. Let's make that our prayer. God, I just pray for the boldness to make room for others, even when it's so tempting to make us the most important person in the room. God, I pray that we would be on the lookout, that you would give us eyes to see the people that you have intentionally placed in our lives, that we can start making room for so that our legacy can build in and through what you are going to do in their lives. And most importantly, this Christmas season, I just pray that we'd be bold to invite people, to talk to people about you and invite them to a Christmas service where they're going to be able to experience and hear the greatest story ever told, and that a legacy could be formed in their lives because of you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Merry Christmas.